Welcome! In this explainer, we're going to dive into the global system settings in PCGuard. Mastering these options is absolutely key to building a protection workflow that's perfectly customized for how you work.
So we'll kick things off by defining what these settings are. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, automating tasks, fine-tuning your workflow, and getting a handle on all those notifications. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways you can use right away. Let's get into it.
First up, let's get on the same page. What exactly are these system settings? Well, you can think of them as the global command center for every single one of your projects.
And this is the most important thing to get your head around. These are not project-specific tweaks. Any change you make here applies globally. It affects every single project you protect with PCGuard on your machine. It's the master control panel.
Now, for those of you who like to peek under the hood, the settings themselves are stored in a simple file called system.settings. You can find it right there in your app data folder. It's good to know where it is, especially for backups, but honestly, I'd recommend making all your changes through the user interface just to be safe.
And speaking of being safe, this toolbar is basically your safety net. You've got 4 essential functions here. You can save your changes, of course, but what's really powerful is that you can back up your entire configuration. This means you can experiment all you want, knowing you can always restore a previous setup, or just hit reset to go back to the factory defaults. No stress.
Okay, let's look at how you can save some real time and head off some common errors at the pass. This first group of settings is all about automating and validating your work.
So are you tired of manually copying those interface DLLs to your output folder every single time you protect an app? Yeah, me too. This setting is for you. Just flip this one switch and you can automate that entire process. It's a small thing, but it saves you a step on every single build.
Now, this next one is absolutely critical for quality assurance. I highly recommend keeping this validation turned on. Think of it like a pre-flight check. It makes sure all the required modules are present and correct before you ship your software. This one simple check can save your users from a whole world of runtime errors.
Next up, let's talk about the settings that really let you fine-tune your day-to-day operations. We're talking about how you manage your projects and how you generate those all-important activation codes.
With this setting, you're basically making a choice between maximum security and a bit more flexibility. By default, it's on, which means activations are locked to a specific machine ID. That's the most secure way to do it. But if you turn it off, you can activate based on site codes alone. This might be handy for some enterprise scenarios, but just know that it does loosen the copy protection a bit.
These next few options are just pure quality of life improvements. Individually, they might seem like small tweaks, but when you put them all together, they can seriously speed up your work. Setting a default projects folder, for example, that just eliminates a bunch of clicks every single time you open or save a file. It's all about removing friction from your process.
Here's a simple one, but it's super important for all you global developers out there. You can easily switch between the European and US date formats. This just helps ensure everything is consistent with your region and your own records.
All right, let's talk about notifications. PCGuard can show you a lot of alerts and warnings, which is a good thing, but this section is all about you deciding which ones you really want to see.
I know it can be tempting to just turn off all the warnings to get a cleaner screen, but this quote really says it all. Each warning is there for a reason. It's giving you valuable context about your app and the protection process itself. They're designed to help, not get in your way.
This table shows just a few of the most important warnings, and it's probably a good idea to leave these on. They're designed to prevent simple but costly mistakes like accidentally trying to protect a file that's already protected, or to flag more complex issues like potential overlay conflicts or critical feedback for your .NET apps.
And beyond those critical warnings, you also have control over other prompts and checks. For example, that activation report prompt is off by default. And that makes sense, right? If you're cranking out dozens of activation codes, you don't want to pop up every single time. But if you do need to log every code meticulously, you have the power to turn that prompt on. It's your call.
Whew, okay. We've gone through a ton of settings. Let's boil all of that down to the key takeaways that you can put into practice right now.
Here's your 4-point checklist. First, automate those repetitive tasks. Second, always validate your output to catch errors early. Third, customize the little things to make the software fit your workflow. And finally, stay informed by keeping those critical warnings enabled. If you do these 4 things, I promise your protection process will be smoother and way more reliable. So I'll leave you with this question. Just think about your own process for a second. Which one of these settings that we talked about today could you change to make an immediate, positive impact? Maybe it's automating the module copying, or maybe it's just setting a default project folder. Even a small tweak can lead to some pretty big gains in your daily efficiency. Thanks for watching.